Hi there everyone, it's me again. 30-day challenge. So you can tell I'm getting good with doing the videos now. Look, I know how to do all graphics and all sorts on it. Okay, I haven't got a clue. Making it up. Now then, today's page is going to be this one. Doesn't look much from there, does it? But it's actually a pocket backed onto one of the pages from the magazine. Alright, and then its opposite end, there we go, is that side, which again has got the fabric on it, the pocket, and another part of the page. Okay, so where do we begin? So you can either use one of the pages from your signature, or you can use a fresh page. I'm actually going to use one of these, which is one of my coffee dyed lace pages, and I have had a couple of questions about how I do it. There's lots of videos on YouTube. Believe me, you do not want to see the inside of my oven when I'm baking my coffee dyed paper, so I'm not doing a video on it. I'm a bit short on space in there too, but basically all I did was coffee dyed the paper, dipped it as normal, placed some lace on top. Sometimes that's enough, the lace will absorb, or the other way you can do it is to lay the lace down on top of the paper and then dab the coffee through the lace itself to leave the imprint. On the previous video you may or may not have seen that I've done in the description box down there a frequently asked questions section. Please make sure that you read the description box, because I might actually leave some quite important information in there, like if I've made a boo-boo with measurements and stuff, then I will put that down in the description box. And there's links down there as well to the Calico Collage digital sets, as well as all my bits and pieces about where you can find me. Right, back to the page. So this is the page that I'm going to use, so I'm adding this as an extra page to my journal, and I'm basically going to fold it in half. I want it that way, so I want the lace on the inside, so that will then sit in the journal. And I'm going to add either one of the images from the magazine there, or a page from the digital kit. Flip it over, and then there'll be an image on that side as well. Okay, now if you use just a single page, say this one, and you fold it in half, you've got a lovely image on that side, but the problem is on the other side, when you flip it over, it's just a pair of legs in the bottom of a dress, so it doesn't really look much. So sometimes you might need to cut one of these pages in half and actually glue it or attach it by sewing it to the actual page of the journal. All right, so in this instance I am going to use this image here, because again, if I fold this in half, I have great image that side, terrible on that side because the writing's upside down. So as I say, I'm going to cut this one up, and I'm going to cut this one up to sit on here. And as you all know, I don't measure because I'm a very naughty girl. Okay, so if I cut it there, that's slightly smaller. Of course I could measure if I was really good, but I'm not. And I want to pick up most of this image, but I also wouldn't mind keeping some of the text as well. So if I do from there, so I know that I want to cut just above the text, and I'm just going to chop the bottom edge of that paper off, and there's a line there, so I'm going to use that as my guide. And you can decide whether you want your pocket to open right at the very top, or if you want your pocket to start slightly further down. And then I'm just going to cut across the top there. In fact, no, I'm not. I'm lying. I actually want this piece at the top for a reason. So I'm going to cut it a bit smaller. Right, so as I say, you could be very good and measure, or you could just be very naughty like me and guess. So I want to chop off about that much. See, it's all technical stuff, all technical. Okay, so as you can see, that just fits nicely onto the page. Alright, now I need to do my guessing bit again with this one. So I'm going to trim off this rough edge, which is the bit that was sat inside of the magazine, so it's a serrated edge and I don't want that. So that's the right sort of width and depth. I want to cut it to about there. So you can see I'm just dinking my finger in there to give it a little bit of a dink mark, so I know where I'm going to cut it. Okay, so what I will then do is I will then glue that around 3 sides to adhere that to the pocket, and then I would flip the whole thing over and glue that around 3 sides, so then once you lift up the page you've got your pocket there and you've got your pocket there. Right, there's no reason why you can't have them on the inside, so that when you open your signature, turn your page, you come to that first and then turn it and come to that. Right, but I'm doing mine to the way around. I'm doing it that way. Okay, and then as I showed you on here, it has got this fabric ruffle. Now it could be fabric, it could be ribbon that you use, it could be a lace that you decide to use, but I'm going to show you with the fabric. Now this is a strip of silk fabric and this end here is the selvage edge of the fabric, and as it happens on this one it's got a really nice fluffy edge. Now I've got this too wide, so I would actually need to cut it just a bit smaller, but all I'm going to do is just do a little snip in there and then I'm going to rip it. And the reason why I'm ripping it, what a great sound, the reason why I'm ripping it is it will give me a nice frayed edge on this side as well once I start to use the fabric. Then I took this to my sewing machine, and with the largest straight stitch I did a running stitch all the way down the centre, grabbed hold of one of the threads and pulled it in. If you don't have a sewing machine you can just use needle and thread and just go up down, down up, down up. Just do a running stitch, a small running stitch all the way down the centre. I'll just do a little bit to just show you, because then when you get to the end, and make sure that you've got a knot on the end of your thread as well, because when you get to the end of your fabric, okay, so you can see there I've done a very uneven stitch down the center, and then as I say, make sure you've got a knot in the end of this thread, and then you pull it in and it gathers it all up. It twists it a bit as well, so just mind for that, and then you can just stick it in place if you so wish with glue. All right, but I'm actually going to do mine on the sewing machine. Not that I'm going to show you that because my sewing machine's in another room. The other way of doing it, of course, is to sew this in place. So then you would need to open this up, not glue it, take it to the sewing machine and stitch around the 3 sides there, and then do the same on the opposite side. stitch around the 3 sides. What you need to remember though is that that stitching is going to show on this side. Alright, so it'll be shown down there, and across there. So you either can then make it part of the design element for this particular page. Right, so that's fairly straightforward. And then, as I say, I would then glue or stitch. I'm going to stitch mine on the sewing machine. This ruffle then on this top edge, which is why I left that little bit of extra gap of the plain green up there, because then my ruffle won't cover over the whole of that wording. Another way of doing the ruffle, and you can do it with paper as well, do it with tracing paper, is that, wrong way up, is that you start at the top and then you just pleat it and then stitch down to the next one and pleat it, and then the next one and pleat it. So you can just pleat as you go, and that will give you the same effect. And you can do that with either fabric, ribbon or paper, or tracing paper, but a little bit more difficult with tracing paper because it is more likely to rip. Okay, the digital kit, one by Calico Collage that I'm using, the Garden Fresh, I'm doing slightly differently. So I've printed out a page, as you can see. In fact, I printed out 2 pages, and I'm going to place these back to back so that when they're folded in half, it'll be like that. There'll be the pocket here. You open it up, that's the next page. When you get to the other side of the signature, there's the pocket there, and then you have the image there. So you've got the images on that side and on that side. Something that I'm going to do slightly differently though. One of the things I've done in one of my previous journals was I added glassine bags to the inside to make it crinkly. So if I just show you, shh, listen. You'll think, shh, listen again. Can you hear that nice crinkly sound? And that's because I've put this on the back. This being this. So this is what it is in the UK. It's the Bacofoil non-stick parchment baking paper. Now I've actually found it quite difficult to find this brown version, but fortunately a friend of mine went, oh, I've got some of that, and went and got it from her local corner shop for me. So I know that I can get some more. So it comes on the roll. As you can see, it's this brown colour, which is what I want to use when it's vintage. Of course, the other thing that you can do is if you use greaseproof paper or parchment paper in the oven when you're drying your coffee dyed papers, you could use that as an alternative. Now again, if I show you again, so this is a piece of the parchment paper that I've got. I'm going to sit it like that and sit my paper on top. Listen. Okay, difference being that on this one I crinkled it up first. If you leave it flat, it doesn't create a noise. Scrunch it up into a little ball. Carefully open it, and then I'm going to glue around all 4 sides and just a little bit down the middle, because no one's going to see it because it's going to be a pocket inside, and then I'm just going to glue that to that. I don't need a permanent hold, so I only want a tiny bit of glue running across the centre, and then I can trim off the excess. So the glue is really only to hold the paper in place, because again I'm going to stitch these 2 pages together. So once that's then glued to that and I've trimmed off the excess, I will then take that to the sewing machine. I'll show you from this side. And make sure that you've got them both the right way up as well, if they're directional. So you can see they're the right way up now. And I'm only going to sew across the top and across the bottom. I don't need to do the one down the middle. Of course you can if you want, but there's no need to. Alright, and then it will then be folded in half and placed inside the signature in its position, just with all the other pages. So I'll just quickly glue this. But the only way, as I say, that you get the crinkle sound is to actually crinkle it up in the first instance. If you leave it completely flat, then you won't get any kind of crinkling sound. So you can see, look, I'm only roughly placing some glue on there. There's hardly anything on it. And then I'm going to sit that on top. And I did actually ink all my papers beforehand as well. And I will probably have to wait for a little while for a little bit of the glue to just take on some of that. Before I can then trim off that excess. Okay, so that's all I'm going to show you today. The other thing as well that I noticed looking back on a couple of the videos was that I said that I was going to show you what I'd done with some of these elements that we've already done. What I thought I would actually do is I'll do a quick flip through of the new bits that we've done, and I'll do that for you over the weekend. The other thing that I got asked as well was about the tags. Am I going to be showing you how to do tags and things? The answer to that is yes. All I want to show you to start with initially is these elements, so that you can make the elements up for the journal. And then I'm going to talk to you about how we apply them and other things that you can think about and take into consideration. So like stamping, stenciling, making tags, making little notebooks. So we might actually go a little bit over our 30 days. That's no problem, is it? The other thing is, if you're finding that some of these are a little bit too quick and then you're a bit like, whew, okay, now what do I do till tomorrow? There's no reason why you can't make some more of these up. And then you've got a bit of a stash of them then, haven't you? So it means then that when you come to do another journal, you just go into a bag, pick out that bit, it's already done. So you could make a few of these up. Good timing. Gotta go. Buzzer's going. See you later. Bye.